when you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Earth from a bird's eye view. You should grow feathers and say this too. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. When you want to get off the darkest ground, but gravity pulls you straight down. Clear sky. Where am
Hello, everyone. Welcome to TechTony. This is episode 3 of Getting Started in Space Engineers. On episode 2, we dug a hole in the ground where we found iron deposit. There, we built a stationary drill, which is pretty much a drill attached to a piston that then is attached to a storage container and two refineries, one with speed modules, the other one with yield modules. Then I have also set up two assemblers, both fully equipped with speed modules. Um, we have three batteries to power the drill, and they're recharging, so it means they have a positive net gain of electricity or flow, power. And the wire grid that you see, that is connected to the ceiling of the cave, is the wind turbine tower that reaches all the way to the surface, and there you'll find five wind turbines operational. And we're in Pertham, which has very dangerous lightning storms. So we built the turbine close enough to a canyon wall that would make it be protected from the bolts. So, but also not close enough that the walls of the canyon would obstruct the wind speed. So we still have optimal power supply for the wind turbines. Okay. So next, imagine you're in space. Another thing you may want is a pressurized compartment. So I want to show you that I have dug already a space underneath the drill where I want to connect a habitable area, a module, or pretty much just a room where I can put a cryopod and leave my character safely when I log out. Also, it'll give me convenient access to the storage, so I don't have to be using my jetpack. And there, I will also install a control station so that I can remotely, I mean, operate the drill, okay, and not have to be, flying around looking for control panels or I can do that from the safety of the cabin and without having to consume hydrogen or oxygen in order to operate it. Next, I plan, and this is just ahead, me saying, I plan to dig this way, uh, which is the probably the direction of the road, and but I also want to make sure the surface is clear above because there is a canyon wall, and I don't want to dig the canyon all the way to the peak of the canyon. I want to dig on the lowest area, the canyon itself, not the step, right? The mountain that makes the canyon. If you understand what I mean. So I wanna raise an area that eventually it's just drills that are going to be creating a silo upwards, a tunnel upwards, vertical tunnel that we can eventually use to launch in, rockets to space and then safely land them back down to base and connect it fully to the habitable base underneath. So first, before that, I want to show you that. So the first task is, I mean, just to finish this topic, the first task is going to be to generate a ton of steel plates, and we already have a bunch of iron ingots, which is the only thing you need for steel plates. To build stations and walls, you need either steel plates or interior plates, and both will need a ton of ingots, but specifically iron ingots. So in front of you, you see iron ore, which is the mineral deposit that we're collecting. Notice that our drill already reached the extent of the piston length. So at this point, it cannot drill any more iron in this current configuration. So what I do is very simple. Let me just turn on my HUD. I grind first, make sure the drill doesn't have any stone in it, because if your refineries are still processing stone and you run out of inventory space, your drill will hold 23,000 liters of rock, okay? Volume of rock. So let's grind away the drill. Okay, inventory is full, no problem. We'll just reach any of these cargo conveyors and say deposit all ores, ingots, and components. Quick, nice, convenient, great. Now let's finish grinding. Okay, and now all you have to do is, well, it's gonna be easier if I turn on my jetpack. X, gotta remember, X is for jetpack, and then just place a drill, but now place it sideways, in any direction sideways. Actually, we can do one even better. Let's instead also, okay, I make sure you have enough hydrogen, so my tank is plenty full. So as long as I don't move around too much, I'm gonna save my hydrogen. It's only gonna consume hydrogen to keep me level and not fall, right? Because of gravity. Okay, so G menu, go to all blocks and type in here advanced rotor. Make sure it's the advanced one, because there is a regular rotor, and an advanced rotor will allow, notice that, let me equip it on the quick slot here. Let me attach it, and notice we're gonna, well, let me rotate it. There we go, there we can see. Okay, now notice the advanced rotor has a conveyor port, a large conveyor port underneath. That means because this rotor will allow resources to pass through it. So because we want to then, at the end of the rotor, we want to attach a drill sideways. Okay, like that. Don't worry, it's clear below. Just make sure it's clear. What you could do also is, I forgot, you can attach the rotor, and even though it's not fully built, you can go to your control panel and look for it, and then click rotor lock. Okay, once you lock it, it's not gonna move, and then you can safely attach the drill, and it won't rotate like mine did. But I'm glad it happened because you got to see it. I plan to do that. No, I intended to do that. Okay, so now let's add these to our build planner, and then I'm just gonna make sure. Nope, my build planner was not clear. And now I'm even gonna cue them from the build planner in order that I want to build them. So starting with the inner rotor, the rotor head, and then finally the drill. And it's as simple as now reaching the container and drawing from it the resources I need. And it's also, the build planner is gonna feed them in order that I need them, or in order that I queue them up. So that way you don't have to either be figuring out, oh, which components do I have? I have like 7 things in the build planner, you know? It's gonna be in the order that you queued them. Okay, a few more, maybe like 2 more, that's it. Okay, so I'm out of resources, so now I have to put queue them from queue them in production. We have 2 assemblers fully equipped with speed modules, and look at the difference. Look at this is not altered speed, but either way, we're gonna cut now into the when it's fully finished. Okay, that was almost not worth cutting at all for because it's done. Now let's grab from the build planner and then finish welding. And then just this is the last strip. It's done. Okay, so now we have configured a drill, one drill attached to an advanced rotor so that it allows resources to flow, the ore to flow it through the piston. Then that's gonna push the drill as it rotates into the wall. Notice that it's also gonna consume a ton of stone along the way that we don't necessarily want, but that's why we have a speed refinery so that we also make the most out of the stone. We're gonna get a ton of silicon, we're gonna get nickel and iron at the same time, plus the pure iron that is gonna be being processed by the yield refinery. So it's just gonna be epic amounts of resources. Super early game, right? Okay. So, and if you're curious about the sorting configuration, that's in episode 2. So I won't go into details, but the sorters are going to help make sure that each refinery processes the correct resource. That's in short. Now let's configure. I've already sorted things out except the new advanced rotor and the new drill. There will always be new blocks, so you have to rearrange them. Okay, the configuration, the advanced rotor, you want it to rotate, but notice that there is a torque option. Torque is how much rotational force it's gonna apply. So if you have a high torque and the drill is obstructed, it may break the rotor tip, the head of the rotor, because it's putting so much force into trying to keep rotating that the pressure breaks it. Imagine like a yeah, I think you can visualize it. So what I usually do is I lower the torque. It comes at default from 33. I lower it to 20. Okay, and this is particularly important in console because you don't have the ability to share inertial tensors. So notice I'm gonna keep inertial tensors off, but no, important is that torque needs to be at a low setting, but 20 is fine. Then you want to make sure your rotor is locked before configuring the velocity. The velocity, you're gonna set it to either forward. If you set it to positive, it's gonna it's gonna be clockwise, and if you set it negative, it's gonna be counterclockwise. So either you can set it to -1 or you can set it to +1. And what I just set it to +1 at this moment is irrelevant which direction it rotates. But important is that it is at 1 RPM, absolute value. We want to get geeky, okay? Absolute value about 1 RPM. And then, yeah, that's it. That's pretty much. Rotor displacement is how far it extends. You can use that to align grids perfectly. That's an advanced builder tip. We'll not get into that. Next, you can test it, but before you unlock the rotor, because as soon as you remember, as soon as you set the velocity, it'll start rotating. And if you reverse it, it's just gonna rotate in the other direction. So if you want to stop it, you can either lock it or turn it off. But if you turn it off, the lock is not gonna work. So yeah, don't turn it off. The rotor, if you want to stop it, just lock it. And the piston, if you want to stop it, turn it off. Turn it on and off, and then you can leave the velocity setting as it was. The velocity setting for pushing is going to be exactly 0. 007 combined. And this will not put, it will consume, it will push into the wall with enough force to keep gathering resources without breaking the drill, and at the same time at a speed that your refineries can keep up. Because another thing that could happen is that you're gathering resources too quickly, and you'll clog the inventory. So there. Now that that is done, let's turn on the drill. Let's unlock the rotor. That should start the rotation. There it goes. We can see it in the corner. And I just noticed we're in ultra wide. Okay, you guys let me know if it's too much. If you cannot read it, we'll refilm the episode. Okay, but otherwise let me finish because I think it can be good. So now, yeah, the rotor is rotating, the drill is on. What's left is to turn on the piston. The piston already set the speed at 0.007. Positive is to push. Negative velocity is to retract the piston. So you can reverse it, and then you can even use a higher velocity, like 3 meters per second. Negative value will retract the piston really quickly. But yeah, let's set the velocity again to 0.007. And now let's turn it on, and now the piston is gonna be pushing against the wall. Let's hide the HUD, hide that. I need to recharge my suit, and that's gonna be really quick, so let's move over here. I think that should be good. Okay, and now there it is. There's your setup. The drill. Notice that it was important that we set up the first drill and pushed it completely into the wall, because the drill is not able to gather stone forward once it's in a horizontal position. Then the rotor is gonna save us, because we don't save us resources, because we can use one drill for the effect of multiple drills, although multiple drills will allow you to collect resources even quicker. But another thing we can do is increase the speed a little bit, and it can collect stone, or resources. But then we have the issue that potentially running out of cargo space. Okay, so we're gonna leave that going, and it should have enough to collect. So meanwhile, let's start queuing a ton of steel plates to start building the bottom container. And look at that, we already have a bunch. Let's queue up even more. So I'm gonna queue up 1,000. I intend to weld these, so they will be, well, you'll need to weld them in order to make them airtight, right? So let's make sure of that. And now I'm gonna use my G menu and assign light armor blocks, and I'm also going to assign interior blocks. You can use regular interior blocks, but if you have the DLC, the sci-fi DLC, you'll be able to use sci-fi interior blocks, which I want to use because I think I like them more. They have more detail, but that's just me. Either one works the same. The important thing to note about the difference is armor blocks obviously will have more strength from damage, but also in console, armor blocks will cost you 2 PCU. Notice that here PC says that the PCU, you can see it here in the corner, PCU is 1 for an armor block, but in console it's 2. And the interior blocks are 1 in console, so you can save resources when you're building console blueprints if you use interior blocks instead of armor blocks. So sometimes filling up the gaps and the space is not convenient. It can consume a lot of resources in terms of PCU usage. Okay, now let's start placing. What I'm gonna do is just randomly start looking for the level. So I'm gonna bring down a block anywhere really, because that's just gonna be a temporary block. And from there, I am going to start. That is fine. Two height is perfectly fine. Then I'm just going to fill the surface. Now this is gonna be tedious, so let me do options, game, building mode. I can do a plane, and I can select OK. And as long as I have resources, I should be able to do this. Oh, do I have to be in creative? Well, you could use planes, line, or single block mode in creative to efficiently place and quickly place a ton of blocks. So if you're building large structures or large ships, for example, go to creative mode and then design them there so that you build them with a symmetry. There's a symmetry mode that reflects on one side. You can even use it. You can use all three axes. You can like Z, Y, and X. You can assign to symmetry, and then you're really efficiently creating blueprints. So definitely very convenient. No, what did I do? There we go. If I turn off my HUD, I don't know if my jetpacks turn on or off. Okay, nice. So we have a good surface area. Oh, sorry for that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going until the drill reaches. Always make sure you have plenty of hydrogen. Okay, and pretty much I'm gonna cover as much of the surface. I don't want to get stuck anywhere. Sometimes you may have even trouble jumping to one of these, so you could also leave yourself a slope. You can use a slope one, like this one, like a triangle, half triangle. So you can always reach the surf, the your station. Just be aware of that. Hydrogen is limited. All right, so now what I'm going to do is weld the bottom. So I'll be back when it's all welded up, okay? Okay. So we have a demonstration of what happens when you have the wrong settings, or suddenly your drill is going at a good velocity, and reaches something that obstructs it. And what happened is probably this point that I'm showing you right now obstructed the drill and caused it to suddenly go from 1 meters per second to 0 instantly, like an accident, like a crash, and caused enough damage to break the to break the tip of the rotor. But the rotor is fine. We just have to build another tip. So I'll just do that by going to my build planner and then saying advanced rotor, and there is the advanced rotor part. So we're going to click it into the build planner and then access the inventory here, withdraw, and then add to production queue. We're still gonna need large steel tubes. Let's withdraw those. Those are done. And now we're good to add. Just make sure it is an advanced one. And at the same time, I need to go back to the control panel because I need to find my generator and recharge my hydrogen. Okay, it's gonna recharge my suit. There, recharge my suit, and I'm gonna get an extra so that I don't have to recharge shortly. All right. One thing could be that the piston was pushing too quickly. Oh, we're gonna have to remove the drill. No, you don't have to remove the rotor. Don't listen to me. Okay, just go to go to any control panel attached to the grid, look for the rotor, and then if it's missing the head, you can see this button enabled and click add rotor head, and that's it. There it has a rotor head. Let's lock it. Let's learn from last time. Let's add the rotor, let's lock it, and then we already have the tools, but I need to equip my welder to my toolbar, and there it is. Let's weld it. Great. Now let's see. This took damage? No, it did not take damage.
Inventory full.
All right. So this drill was. It looks like it was pushing a little too quickly, because I didn't spend that much time and it reached. So either way, let's retract it a little bit by lowering the velocity. Now put it at 0, and then we're going to attach one drill like that, and then weld it.
Energy low.
Okay, let's do that. Let's recharge the energy. Nice. Only 2 ticks with the medical. Yeah, the medical room is really efficient in recharging in terms of how fast it recharges your energy. So yeah, try to get one early game. Yep. Now we should be able to finish welding the drill. And that's how you fix it if they break. Just add a piston head or a rotor head, whichever breaks, and then resume. So rotor, make sure velocity is fine. I'm gonna lower it just a little bit. Just 0.7 velocity for the rotor. I'm going to turn on the drill first and then unlock it. Unlock the rotor. Next, the piston, I'm going to set the velocity a little slower. Let's say 0.05. And then, yeah, that should be good. Let's make sure that the piston is on. It is on. 0.005. Okay, that looks good. All right, so I wasn't finished welding the bottom, only a little bit left, but I guess I'll just show you how quick the upgraded welder is. And yeah, so make sure to upgrade your welder as soon as you get access to gold and silver. Okay, making sure my thruster is off, but it is very quick at welding, so it'll save you electricity, yeah, from your suit. Your suit draws power, I mean your welder draws power from your suit, and at the same time it's gonna save you time welding. Okay, we're gonna have to get rid of this one. It's fine if you split the grids. They're perfectly aligned, so they'll snap back to each other like that. Now what we're going to do is raise walls and try to find the edges of the refinery, like these refineries, and then in the front same thing, and then in the back, so that we can create a fully sealed containment for this machinery. Okay, so we'll be back when I put the grid frames for that. Actually, sorry, before I put the grid for the walls, I noticed that I haven't picked the color. I'm using the default gray that the game starts off with. So let me show you how to pick a color. Alright guys, I figured out how to repaint blocks. You just select your color and texture in the P menu, and then having a block selected, you have to find a block and have it so that you see the hologram in like you see in front of you. Then hover over the one block you want to recolor and press the middle mouse button. You can always reassign the look a toolbar choice, you know, and I'm going to use this dust armor texture, which I think is pretty fitting since we're underground and drilling. Should be a pretty dusty place. And just like that, you can keep hold and then just keep going, and you should be able to recolor everything, no problem. I need to get access to this one, and done. Okay, so we have finished well, we have finished the foundation. Oops, let me show you. There we go. We have fixed our drill, which seems to now be fully operational and working just properly, just fine. Yep. Okay, so we just have to slow it down a little bit. We made the piston push at 0.05 and the rotor rotate at 0.7 meters per second. Now I want to make sure the piston still has distance, and it does. The current position says 6 meters. It has a max distance of 10 meters. So at that point, it would have we will uninstall the tip, the rotator tip, and if we haven't reached the extent of our drill, I mean of the ore vein, then we'll just attach another piston in order to keep drilling forward. But I suspect that it's gonna be far enough, maybe not, we'll see. So then what we'll have to do is instead start increasing the surface area of our rotation so that we start consuming even more until we reach the rotation area that consumes the edges of the iron deposit. At that point, we would have already exhausted our resource and no point in keep drilling for stone. Okay, so let's while that keeps drilling, let's also make sure that our refineries are able to keep up, and it looks like they are. Okay, the cargo, look, it's increasing in right now, so eventually it will clog, so I have to be careful. And let's see, all refineries are producing correctly. What we can start doing is I don't see the speed refinery. Let me see where the speed refinery is. Our speed refinery, no, it's doing. There's absolutely no stone in our system right now. There's only a iron being processed by the yield refinery, but it's not quick enough. So it's starting to accumulate in the cargo. We have one drill. This is the small cargo. This is a small inventory cargo that is starting to clog up, but we still have, look at that. We still have 400,000 liters in one cargo, and I think, yes, a fully empty cargo bin in the back. So we have two large cargo bins that are empty. We have no concern over inventory space at this point. Let's just keep doing that because they'll hold all the iron collected by the drill until the refinery is ready to process it. Let's check up on our batteries because these refineries are going to be turned on for a long time. So let's make sure our batteries can keep up. What we can do is hide them, show them because they were grouped and hidden, fully depleted in 9 hours. So our current configuration can keep running for 9 hours, and if we turn it off, then they'll start recharging. So that's pretty good. I think I'll keep it like that. Because it's not, I don't intend it to keep running for 9 hours. Okay, so meanwhile, while our refineries and our drill is doing the hard work for us, I'm gonna have fun just building a station underground. So what I'm going to do now is start raising walls so that I completely cover the drill and the refineries and assemblers and probably the cargo too. So I'll raise the grid and then show it to you before I weld it, and then we'll cut again while I weld it. So it should be quick to when you see it. Okay, be right back. Okay, we're back, and I want to show you now that I have placed interior blocks as walls, raised them all around the structure, the stationary drill. I've also dug a little bit more space so that I can fit the walls in comfortably, and at the same time at the back I'm leaving the corners because they allow me access to certain blocks. A thing you want to keep track of is access to blocks, so as you start placing these frames you may lose access to them with your welder, so you want to weld them before you keep building. So that's what we're gonna do before we put the ceiling frame. We will weld them up. So I'll be back once all the walls are welded. All right, everyone, welcome back. We have completed the outer walls except for the ceiling of the base. Notice that there is still our drill, and it also, while I was placing the walls, the drill was successful in reaching the end of the distance, the piston distance. So now we have to change the configuration so that we can reach further into the iron deposit. And also I want to now configure so I get a little bit more surface area coverage, and then we'll start the drill up again. Next, our refinery has been processing a lot of iron, so it should have plenty of ingots for whatever we need. Let's go check that. Looks like our drill is holding onto materials, so I am going to turn on the piston. The piston is on. I'm going to check the advanced rotor that sometimes, okay, sometimes the piston head will be damaged. Yeah, that is the case. Notice the piston head has 18% health. So what that does is that it prevents elements or minerals from traveling through the piston head. So we're going to have to fix that. In order to make it easy, I'm just gonna cue the piston head withdraw and then weld. We'll still need some steel plates, so let's actually add 2000. Yeah, I guess I ran out and I didn't notice. Luckily we have plenty of iron in order to continue. Next, we'll need to actually remove that rotor because we'll need to add a second piston, then replace the rotor, and then I'm going to place two drills this time, not one. So let's do that configuration. Another thing before I do that I wanted to show you is that I placed batteries on the empty blocks that were around the storage container and structure and the drill. This adds a little bit more support because they're now attached to the walls of the base. And also I left this opening, one single block opening, so that I can install a stairway. A ladder is the correct term. A ladder that I can reach the top part in case I need to repair anything. But I want to now remove these three batteries over here. There is one that already is drained, so you can see the indicator is fully depleted, and then these ones still have power. So I want to drain them of their power before I grind them away. So what I can do is I can set the charge mode to discharge. This will cause the battery to have its indicator turn blue, letting you know that it's in discharge mode. Which what happens is that the battery will not accept a charge. even if there's a positive flow, the battery will not convert it into stored energy. So it will output it, and if we look at all the other batteries, they will now start receiving an input, extra input from the discharging battery. So they'll start recharging. And if we look at the discharging batteries here, they'll say fully depleted in 3 hours. So I may want to speed that up. I can look at these batteries over here, and these are the 5 new ones that I just added, and I can set them to recharge. This will have them recharge even quicker because they're not going to be outputting power, but I'm not sure if that's it, but they do recharge quicker. Notice that they'll be fully recharged in 20 minutes. They're now they're not outputting any energy. But now this one that would have been depleted in hours is now going to be depleted in 6 minutes. You got to be careful because since these batteries are set to only recharge, they will not a discharge. So when your discharging batteries run out, your medical room or your first aid kit will turn off, meaning your respawn location will be disabled. Very careful if it's the only one. Now, what we're going to do instead is have an auxiliary battery set to auto. One of the new ones is going to be set to auto, so therefore it would have a little bit more time. Nah, it's gonna get depleted in 5 minutes just the same. Nah, let's leave it on recharge. I use auxiliary batteries for the turning and on and off. I'll show you that. I'm not gonna get out myself. So I'm just gonna like be very aware of them, and you'll notice because there are lights on the ceiling. So once these lights turn off, I'll know there's no electricity. Notice these ones have a yellow indicator. These are recharging. The yellow indicator means they're recharging. Okay, green is auto. Next, that being said, I moved the medical room down here in the corner so that it's more accessible, easy to access, recharge, and then I also added a storage container here so that it would be easy to recharge our hydrogen or extract any components that we need or deposit them. Okay, so I've deposited everything I have. Next, finally, we want to rearrange the drill, and afterwards I want to seal off the the structure, the drill. Then I will weld the tower, and afterwards I will create an entry in the front, in the face here, that will be airtight. Before I do that, I want to explain that airtightness, some blocks will be airtight and some blocks will not. Others will be partially airtight. Okay, so what am I talking about? All right, let's look here at this storage container. Notice that it's not a perfect cube. Notice that there is an angle between the perfect 90-degree angle wall and the storage container. Therefore, air can pass through that angle, meaning that, let me just change to a different block. I'm gonna use my PC. Control 1, 4, okay, there we go. Meaning that air can pass, I'm just gonna use the welder, through this gap, okay? So keep in mind, but if I were to place blocks around the face of the storage, like for example there and there, and I would only leave this conveyor port open, like let me just say 4, okay, maybe I'll just get some plates out of here like that, and I'll just demonstrate. Perfect, that's better. So if I were to seal the angled sides of the storage container, I would have air tightness. because this part of this block is airtight, meaning that it does create an airtight seal on the edge there where it touches the storage container. So air would not pass through. I would be able to access this storage container without air, and even if the storage container was outside, um, say for example in the empty vacuum of space. Okay, so that is an example of a partially airtight block because it has one single face that is airtight, but every other corner and angle is not. The generator is an example of a fully airtight block because it is made up of two cubes. It's a rectangle, or I don't know what you call this. Probably a trapezoid. But oof, geometry coming back to me. It's been a few decades, okay? But yeah, anyway, the generator is, you can see, yeah, I can take up the same volume of space using two armor blocks because they're two cubes. They form the same, they occupy the same space. Same as these two batteries. All those are fully airtight blocks. Now, an example, I think there's very little example of uh, of a non-airtight, but you can tell your refinery is also partially airtight. Okay, we gotta recharge our suit. Oh, we changed the medical room. Nice. Okay, what happened is the batteries have been depleted. So that is the indicator that I should shut up and set them to auto. And now the lights have come back. And now the batteries that are set on discharge are still set to discharge. So they'll be fully depleted. They show with that red indicator that they're absolutely fully depleted. So we're safe to grind them away. All we have lost is the power cells because those you only get back scrap metal. But it's fine. You lose a little bit of nickel, but we even moved the power. We transferred the stored power from one battery to the new, from the old batteries to the new ones. I'm just gonna open my inventory and demonstrate. Here's that scrap metal that was collected from grinding the batteries. That can be processed by a refinery and turned into, excuse me, just at dinner. To process that back into iron. So your refinery just, uh, you know, try to get some items out of it. I'm gonna clear this. Nice. Okay. So that being said, next thing is the configuration of the drill. Having an empty inventory, we're gonna get rid of this drill. Then I'm going to store the materials temporarily, and I'm gonna use my build planner to withdraw them. Okay, we need to deposit. Just keep an eye out on the bar below, right above your toolbar. That bar is your inventory capacity. Notice how it starts racing as I start grinding. I don't need to grind anymore because we need two pistons, so we can leave the one we have. Pistons. You can type. I like typing because, yeah, it saves me from looking around. So I want to choose a different texture. So let me just switch colors into the dust covered metal, dust covered armor. There we go. And next I am going to have G to look for an advanced rotor. Make sure it's the advanced one so it can travel, the materials can travel through it. And then we have two pistons, meaning we have further reach, and we have the same rotor capacity we had before. Before I forget, Now that I have the rotor, I want to lock it. So let me look for it in the control panel. Advanced rotor right here. Lock. Awesome. It's not gonna move around now when I install a drill. And then remember, we just added distance, okay? So therefore, now we need more forward drilling capacity, okay? We're gonna reach the wall, so we want to make sure that we can keep drilling forward now so that we don't, bump the drill into the wall and cause pressure on the tip of the piston of the rotor that could cause it to break. But before that, I want to remove it. We're gonna build the drill bit from back here attached forwards, because there's gonna be only one mounting position to the rotor. So first, I want to be able to drill this iron, but I already drilled this circle here. I want to drill the one that's out a little bit outer, the one that was without just within the reach of the first uh, sideways rotor going around. So what I do is I just extend the reach of the drill one block further out. And to do that, what I do is I use a conveyor port. I know, man, these terms and things, I'm trying to be slow so that I don't confuse you guys, okay? So imagine we're gonna do a cone of drilling, like a drill, like a real life drill bit. It is gonna be like a cone, so that the tip of it drills a very small surface area, and then it starts increasing as the drill pushes into the wall. So that's exactly what we're gonna do here. We're gonna assign the conveyor junction. All right, and you can also use, actually we're gonna do that, we're gonna use, instead of a conveyor junction, a small container, because the small container we can attach, nah, let's use a small conveyor port, because we can always, I was gonna say, because you can always, you could use a small container to drop items in through the system, but you can also use your drills as inventories, and they can access the inventory of the main system. So never mind. What we're gonna do is one conveyor port, and then that, notice that now when we place a horizontal drill, it's gonna be further out, and we can also place one in front of it that's gonna be a bit uh, one block inwards. And also we're going to add a second conveyor block so that we leave a one block gap between the two drills. I know. Just you'll see it, and then you'll see, you'll remember. It'll make sense. Okay. Next is gonna be one drill over here. Unable to place drill because of the 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 wall, the rock, the wall of rock is blocking it. So I'm trying to see if there is any direction, and I think this direction is gonna be fine once I drill. I also don't want to drill iron, so let me add a little bit of space for the drill bit, and then we'll attach that drill. Okay, let's see. That should be enough. That's why I didn't want to cut. Yep, perfect. So now you see, in the same position where the other drill started to rotate and drill, now this one is gonna do so, but one block further out. So it's gonna get way more stone around where the other one was just within reach. And then,
low.
I know. Okay, nice. No problem.
Fuel critical.
That's fine. Just jump. And that's why we have this system over here. I want to recharge my hydrogen first before, so that my bottle stays at 100% and not has to and doesn't have to recharge my suit. 100, and we grab it. Good, we're good now. Okay, and then further out where the other one finished drilling is gonna be another horizontal ready to continue where the other one fell to reach the full distance, right? And never mind, I'm not gonna say it. I heard the joke. I heard the joke in my mind, and I'm not gonna say it. Okay. And then at the end, that's it. I place one forward drill. Notice that the drill already adds one block distance from the tip to the where the other one is. So I didn't need to add that conveyor block there. And now it's just welded up. Make sure your build planner is empty, and then cue them all. Don't forget the top piston part and the top rotor part. Build capacity reached. You'll have a limit on how many items you can assign to the build planner, but it doesn't matter. And that's why I like to queue them up in order, so that also I'm not having fully welded blocks supported by just one steel frame, one steel plate. These frames have the health value of a single steel plate, and that means any damage will cause it to destroy. So yeah, but at the same time, you're only investing one steel plate, so if they blow up, who cares? But if you have already welded something ahead of it, then it does matter. Notice that I am being fed the components in the order that I queued them. As long as they're within the inventory. So for example, over there it ran out of motors, so it couldn't finish this block and feed me the remaining motors that I needed. So I just continue on. I continue on because I still have components in my inventory that I could use to build. But if I were to just directly queue them to production, it would not, well, it would not account for the ones already in my cargo, in the cargo of my, in those cargo there, because I haven't withdrawn them. So it means when you withdraw the components is that they get subtracted from the build planner. So you see the motors, steel tubes are also missing, so it cannot finish those. And I think at this point we're ready. Let's see. You'll notice because it won't be able to give you any more components like you saw right there. Now you know your build planner is subtracted from fully, and you can just add to production. And look at that. Look at all the only thing we had to queue up versus if we have just queued up all those components and directly put them to the production. We would have made a bunch of unnecessary parts. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We should have all the components required to finish the. I want to double check that the heads. Oh, look at that one. That one is not welded. We gotta make sure we weld that one. Okay, so let's check our build planner is empty. Let's add this drill and add the top piston part. Yeah, sorry. Pronunciation. F. I try to get it right. There we go. Add that piston part because you don't want this to turn on and your piston or your rotor part is the weakest part of the entire rig. So you don't want it to break and everything just collapses to the floor and could blow up. Did we finish the part? Yes, looks finished. Yes, it is. That's only the drill. And it's missing 5 motors. So I'm just gonna cue them directly from the drill to show you that you can also access your main inventories from the drill. There we got the 5 and we finished. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now that's a drill. Check that out, okay? And now I want to make this easy, okay? Let's grab a bunch of interior plates and then I'm going to look for a control station. Okay, we got a control station and I'm going to choose probably there and I'm going to grind it away because I know that I chose the wrong texture. I want the silver armor, the shiny. I like shiny things, don't we all? Okay, so let's weld and then make sure your build planner is clear. It is. Nice. We queued the control seat. We withdraw. Let's deposit that. Withdraw. And then queue up the remainder, whatever we're missing, which is going to be a bunch of computers and 2 more motors. Should be close to done. Ah, man. 73 computers in an instant before I could turn my back. There we go. Fully welded. And now we can control our rig from here. And I'm gonna do one better. I'm gonna say G and I'm gonna say spotlight. Add it to the build planner. And then here. Okay, and I'm gonna withdraw. And then I'm gonna queue. Check out production, done. Get the bulletproof glass and we should be good now. Gonna add this now that we have a semi-permanent rig. Oh, my dampeners are off. That's why my character's flying all over the place. Sorry for that, guys. Now I want to place this spotlight in, well, I'm gonna place one in the piston. Well, we can place it in the rotor or in the piston, either one. I'm gonna place it on the piston so that it doesn't obstruct with the rotation of the rotor, but it shouldn't. Even oh, I placed it upside down. I like it'll reflect the grids. You see the grading, gray. So I want to align them up so that it reflects in the correct direction that I like. And then you can also attach lights to your drill. Notice that your drill is ahead. So what I like to do is I like to put a light just before. So if this drill is drilling, it means that this area behind it is already clear. Oh, no, we don't want to respawn. Wrong button, Tony. Like that. Okay? And that's it. If you had a longer drill, you could add more. And we can also add one on the other side, like that. So let me just go to my build planner, add a spotlight here. Okay? And in order to queue up 3, I click the plus icon twice and then we get 3. Okay? Now, our welder went away. So let's click G, character tools, our welder, and then we say withdraw, add to production queue. There's the bulletproof glass for the other 2. Okay, probably inventory is full. And there's 1. There's another one. And there's the last one. Let's use P to switch the texture to the dust, and then pull regular block, and press middle button to apply, and we're good. Looks good. 0 to unequip, and now we can go to our control station. We can even turn off our lights to see how that looks. Kinda okay. Let's say F to sit down, Control or Alt to look up. We can now rotate our direction. Now we're looking at the drill, and I want to say control panel, and I want to look for the spotlights, and I want to group them, and I say lights drill, so that they're sorted alphabetically, because I don't want them confused with then these are kind of like work lights, so I like them to have like a blue hue. So I bring down the red and the green. Then I increase the radius. You can also increase the intensity, and that should be good. Okay, so hopefully you saw in the background the difference. And now let's turn off the terminal so that we don't even see them. Let's also, since now we have multiple drills, let's group the drills. So now we can also say like all on and then all off. We can also hide them from inventory screen, toolbar config, because we can now control them as a group and not individually, and we can hide them from the terminal. The batteries, we have gotten rid of the old ones. We can say batteries and group those. We can remove them from the toolbar, since we now control them as a group, and from the terminal. The control seat, we're not going to need to do anything to the control seat, so from the toolbar, from the inventory, and from the terminal, gone. Medical room, I can assign the spawn name, iron mine. I'm going to say per time iron mine, because I may have multiple iron mines, especially if I visit a new planet. Next, drill pistons, and usually I'll name the pistons X. For example, piston X inner one, and then the outer one. And I know this one is the inner one because it shares the same color with all the other blocks. Excuse me. Notice that the advanced rotor and the piston have different colors. That means that they're in a different grid. They're attached to this grid, but they belong to a different one. So the piston and the rotor, the head, is considered a different grid. That's why they break and separate. Excuse me. Ah, I'm sorry. Okay, either way. This is the small cargo container that is so cargo SM1 cargo drill SM. Oh no, this one is the cargo in the medical room. Medical room cargo. I put the first word so that it's alphabetically sorted. Notice that there's also cargo main 2, cargo drill. So the C will keep them grouped in the sorting. It's a way, tips to keep your terminal organized. Now I can just hide them from the toolbar and hide them from terminal, but keep the cargo of the medical room in the inventory screen. Medical room can now be hidden from toolbar, terminal, and don't toggle block on and off. Next, this one, piston X out, and then outwards. And you can also then start naming 1, 2, 3, 4, because if there's multiple, then there's no point in and out. More than 2, I mean. Then piston X, because we may have later a piston Y that pushes down and another rotor. We remove this rotor, put a conveyor port at the end, and now we add a piston downwards, and we're drilling a rotor downwards into the ground and keep these two pistons to move the drill downwards. And you can even start drilling upwards and sideways, and you can create a big dome underneath a mountain, and no one would even know that's there. Either way, don't get distracted, Antonio. We grouped the pistons now, and the drills, everything, just so that I did not save the pistons. Okay, pistons X, save, and we want to set the velocity of the pistons to, remember, we had a good velocity at 0.005. So therefore we want the velocity combined of both pistons to be equal that. That was a good velocity for one single piston. So the combined one would be, first I want to turn them off so they don't start moving, turn them off, and then I actually want to work with the group. So show blocks in toolbar off and show block in terminal. And now I'm going to work with the group here. So the group is going to be off. Notice the toggle block off too. Velocity is going to be 0.0025 because they're two pistons. So combined 0.005. Next, maximum distance, we're going to leave it like that. We're going to remove this second group I just noticed. And then we're going to select a rotor. It's a new rotor, so we have to reconfigure it. We locked it before welding it. Now we're going to lower the torque to 20 again, and then our velocity is going to be set to 0.7. All right, that was a good speed before. Okay, and now I think we're ready to try this on. The drills, all you have to do is turn them on and off. Before that, I want to assign the slots. I don't want to have to be in my control panel all the time turning things on and off and that. So first thing I want to be able to do is turn the drills, all the drills, on and off. So I want to assign it to the toolbar of this control panel. This is going to be the control panel for the drill. So what I'll do is I'll assign drills toggle block on and off to number 1. And then I can press 1 and they will turn on and off. Next, in the groups panel here, I want to look for pistons X. And these ones, I want to be able to turn them on and off to pause them. And I also want to be able to reverse them. Although I'm going to remove the reverse, so you double click on them and remove it, because I'm not going to wait the slow amount of time that it uses to push. I'll have to manually like reverse it so that I can pull the drill out quickly, and I'll have to wait for it to retract in the same speed that it pushed forward, if that makes sense. Next, finally, I want to look for the rotor, and that is not a group, so I go to all blocks and there's my rotor, and I say toggle lock on and off, and that's it. So now, as long as I'm in this sitting in this control seat, I can press 1 to turn all 3 drills on. As you can see, there they go. Next, I turn the rotor on, so it's already on. I just need to unlock it. So there it goes. Rotor is unlocked. And I'm gonna let it do a rotation because it's the first time it's turned on, and notice how imperfect the level is, or the area, the surface is. So let's wait for it to go around once before turning the pistons on, just so that we make sure that at the starting position it has cleared the entire radius around it. I'm going to adjust the camera so you can see a little bit and turn off the HUD. Okay, guys, looks like our drill has done a successful rotation. So we're ready to turn back the pistons on. And remember, we had already set the speed. We just had them off. So all we have to do is turn them on, and they will start pushing forward at 0.005 meters per second. We have two pistons, so remember they're actually doing half of that each to have a combined speed of 0.005. Now we're ready. We're going to dismount from the control panel, so anytime we need to control the drill, we don't have to fuzzy around in a control panel or anything. We just reach this control station and then press 1, 2, or 3. I'll show you here, based on what we need to do. Fumble around, not fussy around. Are you crazy, Antonio? Making up words as you go along. That's the beauty. So notice, okay, we talked about air tightness, right? Notice the piston is not gonna be airtight until it reaches this storage container. So therefore, I have to make sure that whatever I build is not gonna release air through this gap there. Okay. Next, let's see. We have to. I'll finish the roof. Well, that starts pushing. That'll take a long time. But look, it's gonna get way more iron now. Let's check the drill. Yes, it's moving. There's plenty of cargo. Yeah, no, the cargoes are empty. Cargoes are empty. We're good. We're good. Gather all the stone you want. Next, I'm gonna finish the roof and weld the tower, and then I'll be back when that's done. Okay. All right, guys. I was just in the process of welding the tower, and I noticed that it had already fallen down. So it looks like either a meteor storm or a lightning bolt hit it. Most likely was a lightning bolt because there is a this is a meteor crater here. But it looks like it avoided the meteor. It just fell to a lightning storm. So I'm just gonna raise another tower, no problem. We have plenty of materials now to produce, so it's no issue. I'll just replace it. Be back then. Alright guys, we have fixed the tower. Now I noticed that I haven't deleted the pod, so I'm gonna show you here that I can look for the respawn planet pod here, and I can refund myself the PCU count. It's a 352 points of PCU that the pod occupies, and we can just delete it. There it goes, disappeared. And because we have a full production line going, and it's more cost efficient for me to queue up the components than for me to start grinding away for one steel plate at a time. No. Okay, so looks like our drill broke, so I'm gonna have to fix the drill. It probably caught with something. So what you can do is you can keep an eye on your drill as it's drilling and help it by drilling away any parts that are protruding, like any part of the rock that you think might damage the drill. Just leave it. Let's call it that. But yeah, I'm just gonna move the drills, reattach them, and we'll be back. Alright, we have reattached two drills. Now I want to add them to the drills group, and now I can turn them on. Make sure you don't turn off the one that's already running in a case like this, and then I can hide them from the toolbar and the terminal, and it's good. Our drill is back working. Excuse me. I leave all this, drop all this. Nice. All right, let's finish the build over here because that's what we're missing. And in order to have an airtight facility, we're gonna need a vent. So let's look for vent. We should have already unlocked it. Sorry about that. Okay, G. We can look for vent. There it is. Let's add it here to the quick slot. And also, I forgot, let's add it already to the build planner. There it is. Now let's withdraw components, see if we have everything. No, we need more plates. Let's queue them up. But in the meantime, I can change the texture. Let's change the texture to silver, change the color hue. Although silver only has one color, just like gold. And I'm just gonna place the vent right here. So let's withdraw and let's weld it. Alright, we'll have a vent for once we are able to seal off this chamber. Notice that the vent is showing a yellow indicator with 3 bars. This means that it is not airtight, it's not sealed, and it's showing you still the oxygen pressure in the environment, in the natural environment. I could set it to depressurize on and it'll turn into a blue color, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna suck in air from the environment and try to fill up any oxygen tank. And since I don't have any oxygen tanks available, I'm gonna start building one of those right now. Okay, so I'm going to look for a place to put the oxygen tank. And I think I'm gonna choose
Inventory full.
right here. I'm going to first look for an engine because it's gonna be important in order to attach. The engine, I'm gonna show you. The engine has one port at the bottom and one at the side. And what this does is produce energy from hydrogen. Neither the hydrogen engine nor the oxygen block are restricted by conveyors. Hydrogen and oxygen flows freely through your system. So therefore, I can attach it to the refinery, this gap that I have here in the refinery, and not be worried that the sorters are going to prevent the engine and the oxygen tank from working. So I can look for now oxygen tank, there it is, and I can attach it. The tank has ports on both sides, both ends of the tank. So I can attach it right there. Now I have exactly where it should go. Now all I need is to add these to the build planner. So let's add them to the build planner, and I can just add them with the welder. And now, well, it looks like we have some. Oops, I'm all twisted upside down here. Nice, nice. Okay. Now let's get the remaining blocks. I'll have to lower myself here in order to access the inventory. Interesting. Okay. Now we got more. Let's find a way. Oh, it's already sealed. The only way is through here, which is actually our port for doing this maintenance. When you build, you always want to leave space so that you can access critical components. I'm gonna requeue my build planner. You want to leave access to critical components
Meteor storm inbound.
so that you can access them for repairs, especially on a starship where you may be under attack. you want to be able to quickly weld components up. Some people would even employ welders to their turrets. So as their turrets are getting damaged, welders are able to repair them, as well as welders can welder blocks can be set to auto queue. So whenever they see a damaged component within their range, they will be able to use use their own build planner in order to queue up the components. And as long as you have the materials, they will be crafted, and the welder will keep welding. It will keep fixing. So that's gonna be interesting. I'll show you a blueprints that do just that. I think it's just we're missing the production queue. That's it. We were missing the rest of the items, so I need to add them to production queue. There they are. Okay, finishing up. That's it. All right, we got all the components out. So now let's finish the oxygen tank and finish the hydrogen engine. With these two, we will be able to airlock because, well, the hydrogen engine is not needed for the airlock, but I conveniently used it because it allowed me to place the oxygen here, and it serves as a conveyor port. So I didn't have to waste space using a conveyor port. I could use the hydrogen engine, which in order to use it, operate it, we'll need a hydrogen tank. So let's build ourselves a hydrogen tank. And now it's one of the last things. They're very costly, so it's one of the last things I do, because let's see, if it's way too close to you, you can use control and then or alt. Which one is it? Ugh, it's way too close to me. Oh well. And it really doesn't matter where you place it. I'm going to try to place it either on top here. I think on top is fine. Let's see where on top though. And I could probably place two. Okay, so I'll be back when I place the hydrogen tanks. Okay guys, I've grinded away one block here on top of the storage container, and I'm going to place a conveyor port right there, then weld that up. I'll be missing a few components, but should be fine. We'll be able to add them to the production. There they are. Now let's withdraw them. Finish the conveyor. Excuse me. Now here we're good to add a hydrogen tank. There it is. And you can even attach them. Hydrogen tanks will have conveyor ports on either side, so you can hold multiple if you want it. I think two is gonna be fine. So I'll be back when I have welded up these two hydrogen tanks. Alright guys, we have welded our hydrogen tanks. They're fully functional, but they're empty. Also note, these are highly explosible blocks. They have good amount of health, they're reinforced, but once they reach zero, they do blow up, and they have a large block size, so their area of damage is considerable. So keep that in mind. We're way below ground, so I'm not worried of meteors or anything falling on top of them. So that's another reason why we're built down here. Next, I want to recharge. But yeah, next, we're ready. We're ready to seal off this area. Also note that you're having installed that tank. Let's make sure our engine is off so that it doesn't consume our hydrogen, and then we cannot recharge our spacesuit or our tanks. I'm gonna leave the toolbar on, but I'm gonna hide it from terminal. Now the hydrogen tanks are going to your generator, since now it has hydrogen capacity, will start processing the ice and converting it into hydrogen, actual hydrogen. So it'll be stored in the tanks, meaning that if I look in my inventory right now and I look for my generator, it's probably empty. It is 0 out of 4,000 liters. So all the ice we had accumulated has been converted into ice. And you can tell if you go to your hydrogen tank, it is filled at 0.1%. So it does have a little bit. This second one is empty, but this first one has 20,000 liters of hydrogen in them, which is 0.1%. So we'll now have to use our hydrogen tank in order to recharge our own personal hydrogen tanks, okay? So I'm gonna select both of them and I'm gonna click auto refill here on. Now I'm also gonna say tanks H2 is gonna be the name of this group. Toggle toolbar off, show block in inventory, yes, and show block in terminal, no. Next, the air vent, we'll leave it for now. The oxygen tank here we'll also use this one to recharge as well, since we don't have hydrogen. So auto refill on, showing inventory yes, in toolbar yes, because we don't have a group for it, and in terminal no. Our new turbines, let's group them. Toolbar terminal off. Next, that's pretty much it. We have our vent there. All we need to do is seal off the structure, and what I'm going to do is install one door in the middle and pretty much 2 windows at the side. So I'll show you when I have the grid set up, and then once more we'll be back once we weld it. It looks like our drill has stopped rotating, so I want to make sure before I do that. Our rotor is fine. It looks like it's just stuck. Okay, where is it stuck? Okay. Let me see. Yeah, that was it. Oh wow. That little dot was enough to lock the rotor and stop and prevent it from rotating. Okay, our rotor part is good. Rotor is starting to move, and the drill is pushing forward. Good, plenty of room to keep going. Those pistons have barely started extending. Each one has only extended 2.7 meters, meaning they'll reach 10 meters each. They've only traveled 5 meters out of the total 20 meters that they're going to travel. So imagine that drill, that distance is going to be really far. Good stuff. That we can build a base in that empty space later, or something. We can use that empty space. But next, I want to seal off, and then before I decorate this area, because decorating is a nice thing, but we'll seal it off first. Okay, so we'll be back once I have placed the grids. Alright guys, welcome back. I have finished creating the face wall, the outer wall of the bunker, and have also gone inside and kind of decorated. I'm gonna go over what I've done so far. So first of all, I installed the gate on one side, and then I installed a door on the other. One is for potentially a drone, or I can also install a ramp later and have vehicles travel. But mainly it was just to demonstrate a hangar that I would build, like that I plan to build out and extend. and also demonstrate how air tightness works. Okay, so inside, besides that, outside, I have created a floor and a stair that leads me to the same level as the drill is drilling. As you can see, the drill keeps going. It still has iron to dig out. It hasn't had a problem so far, so looks good. Next, drill still have distance to travel, so it's gonna be drilling for a while. So let's show you inside. If I just walk straight in, immediately I'll find an airlock door that has a few lockers so that you can store things for yourself and for your allies. A window on the other side, but it's mainly so that the cabin, this is the cabin, is protected from losing its air. So what happens is right now this cabin is pressurized, so oxygen is being released from the tanks to fill up this room. If this room breaks pressurization, meaning it opens a door leading to a depressurized area, some air will escape, causing the wait, let me not get ahead of it. Causing the air in this room to travel to another one. So for example, this airlock depressurized. As I open the door, the air flows in here, and then when I close it behind me, uh, if I open this door, only the air volume of this room is released. So not the entire oxygen, not the entire hangar, only this small volume area is released in terms of oxygen volume. There are ways to completely make it efficient so that there is absolutely no loss of air, and I will show you that in a more advanced. But here in Perth time, since we're in an oxygen-rich environment, pressurization is not even required at this point. In space, it will. So our spaceships will have lossless pressurization. But now, also to demonstrate, I have this gate over here, and notice as I open, no air is lost. That's because this area here is already fully depressurized. So if I'm inside the cabin, which is pressurized, and I open, air will be released from the cabin and I will lose air from my tanks. But in the depressurized area, I have a second vent set to depressurize. So what this is going to do is it's going to suck in air from the environment of Pertam in order to fill up those oxygen tanks, the oxygen tank you see above us. So therefore, this oxygen tank is gonna be full even if I release some oxygen over here and depressurize, for example, here. There it goes. There's depressurizing. So I'm gonna close it. But yeah, depressurization is pulling in oxygen, while pressurization is filling up this cabin. So in a moon environment, this cabin would be fully pressurized. I had to, let me show you. I had to go on the ceiling here, up the stairs, and then I added catwalks so that it would look nicer, and also the traveling. For example, when I'm walking on top of these speed modules, it's smooth, and I'm not like jumping around. That to me is annoying. But yeah, I had to walk all over this walk over this place, and notice I removed one speed module. I had to because it was blocking pressurization. I also used solid catwalks in order to seal off the top part of the large container because it was also breaking pressurization. So that's one thing that a mistake of this design. What I would do to fix it is add an extra block layer between the storage container and the roof of my facility. notice that the storage container is at the level of where the ceiling would be. So a fix is to make the cabin one level lower, or build things one level higher so that the entire bottom could be sealed with armor blocks, and then connected. I would connect the storage through a conveyor port like we did with the hydrogen tanks above. But yeah, this is a fully fledged base. Oh, I moved the station over here so that yeah, it's within the cabin pressurized. Another thing you could do is install cameras, because our control panel there is not going to be able to see what's going on. So let's install a camera. G, and we can install one right there. I'm gonna have to do some configuration because this light is in the way. So I'll be right back when the camera and the lights are reconfigured. Alright guys, I've installed a camera, but before I get ahead, I wanted to show you I've also installed a cryopod. These are very important to leave your engineer inside one when you log out, so that it survives while you're offline, especially if you're in a live server, public server, of course. That will reduce your oxygen consumption, and your engineer will be here when you return. The tools and everything you may lose if you log out and your engineer dies. So next, I just want to go into the control panel, and then I want to set number 4 to have our camera view. So now I can click 4 and I can see the drill pushing. I added spotlights there and removed the one that was blocking me, so that I can see and I can tell where when the drill locks. So from the comfort of a pressurized environment, I'm able to fully operate and regulate or modulate, I don't know, regulate the drill. I can see if it gets stuck, and then I will then break pressurization and leave in order to fix the drill. Otherwise, I'll be here just, doing my thing. While it drills, what I plan to do is to extend the base, okay? Probably either back towards this wall. So I would grind away one of these panels and then start a door and then drill behind it until I build something else, maybe like a more of for a base. But mainly what I want to build is a hangar that I can use to build ships safely, starships safely, and then drill my way upwards out of the ground, so that and use airtight hangar doors in order to be able to launch these rockets. We're gonna build a silo, practically a missile silo or rocket silo, that allows us to safely launch from the underground, as well as build things and come back and repair them from the safety of underground, away from all the spiders and away from enemy player detection and away from meteors. So yeah, this is TechTony. I'll be signing out here for episode 3. Hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Really helps me out. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions, or if you would have done something differently. If you have anything request that you want to see, or like but yeah, pressurization and all kinds of more advanced topics will be coming up next shortly on their own videos in TechTony. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Have a good one, guys. Bye.